At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. 76 years ago, these were the words of the first Prime Minister of independent India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Between then and now, a lot has changed. From a protest voice to actively shaping the international order, India has come a long way. Hello and welcome. This is Gravitas Plus, and I am Molly Gambhir. In this episode, we celebrate India's independence and its evolved relations with the world. Let's begin with the Russia-Ukraine war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condemned the war. Last year, in fact, on the sidelines of the SCO summit, Prime Minister Modi openly told President Putin that today's era is not the era for war, that the conflict should be resolved through democracy, diplomacy and dialogue. Listen to what he said.
आज का युग युद्ध का है नहीं और हमने फोन पर भी कई बार आपसे इस विषय में बात की है कि डेमोक्रेसी और डिप्लोमेसी और डायलॉग ये सारी बातें ऐसी हैं कि जो दुनिया को एक स्पर्श करती हैं.
While calling for peace, India has also maintained strategic neutrality. It has abstained from voting against Russia in the UN Security Council, the General Assembly, and the Human Rights Council. It also continues to buy large quantities of oil from Russia. Countries in Africa, Asia, and West Asia have avoided taking sides, but India stands out because its power and size make it the most influential country to remain neutral. Even if it came at the risk of upsetting the West, India remained firm on its stance. And despite the lack of alignment on the war, ties between the US and India remain stronger than ever. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to the US spoke for itself. It saw many new deals being struck between the strategic partners. Soon after the historic state visit to the US, Prime Minister Modi held a long conversation with President Putin over the phone. The leaders discussed strengthening their special and privileged strategic partnership. India's strategic autonomy was once again on display. Not just the US, even Europe has been trying to convince India to take a tough position on the war. Last year, in fact, at a conference in Slovakia's capital, the Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, was asked a pointed question: why would anyone help India if it had troubles with China after it did not help Ukraine? This is what Dr. S. Jaishankar said in response.
Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. That if it is you, it's yours. If it is me, it's ours.
What Dr. S. Jaishankar said rang true. Let's not forget, Europe has been silent on many developments in Asia. You see, India's foreign policy is bold, self-assured, and independent. In 2014, India adopted the de-hyphenation policy for Israel and Palestine. What that meant was simple. It would no longer be Israel-Palestine, but Israel and Palestine. India's relationship with Israel would stand on its own merits. It would be independent and separate from India's relationship with Palestine. As India increased security ties with Israel, it also strengthened ties with the Palestinian Authority. And at the same time, India has been a force for good. In 2018, Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas invited Prime Minister Modi to sit on a proposed multilateral forum and negotiate a peace deal between Israel and Palestine. In the Russia-Ukraine war as well, even though India has not openly condemned Russia or slapped sanctions like the West, it has condemned the violence. It has pushed for diplomatic resolution. Since 1948, UN peacekeepers have undertaken 71 field missions. India has taken part in 49 of them. It has been the largest troop contributor. As many as 195,000 Indian troops have served on field in Korea, West Asia, Congo, Cambodia, Mozambique, Somalia, Rwanda, Angola, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Eritrea early this year. The Japanese ambassador to India, Hiroshi Suzuki, went as far as to say that India holds the key to securing peace and prosperity for the entire world. Be it peacekeeping or global issues like the COVID-19 pandemic or climate change, India has been actively providing solutions to the world. When the pandemic struck, India became a pharmacy for the world. At a time when countries were struggling to contain the virus, India was setting records of vaccinating its population. India's vaccination drive was unparalleled in scale and speed. 2 billion doses were distributed in 18 months. And not just that, India also sent out medicines, PPE kits, and vaccines to other countries in need. As of July 2022, India had sent 239 million vaccines to 101 countries and UN entities. While India provides solutions to the world, it also keeps its neighborhood first. Last month, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe signed an agreement to launch UPI in Sri Lanka. It was aimed at boosting fintech connectivity. India and Sri Lanka will also conduct feasibility studies on land bridge connectivity between the two countries. Last year, when the island nation was caught in a financial crisis, India was there to help. It sent financial and humanitarian support worth $4 billion. It was also the first creditor nation to offer financing assurances and kickstart the International Monetary Fund process. India has been a helping neighbor to others as well, of course. As the most recent example, just last week, India gave Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal real-time access to its energy market. You see, ever since its independence, India's journey has been a glorious one, and through its bold and self-assured foreign policy, India has nurtured its ties with the world and will continue to do the same.